Hi everybody, it is Nat and today I'm here with another recommendations video. Today I'm going to be recommending to you guys 5 different dystopian books, different dystopian series. I know like the dystopian phase has long since passed, but I am still a big fan of dystopian. I don't read it quite as often as I did like a few years ago when dystopian was like the height of everything. But yeah, I do really enjoy dystopians. I always say like depending on if you count fantasy and high fantasy as like 2 different things, I count dystopian as like my second favorite genre because I have 5 really good dystopian series to share with you guys. Again, I tried to pick series to recommend that's not like the ones that you hear about the most often. So like if a random stranger came off the street and asked me which dystopians I would recommend to them, I wouldn't necessarily maybe say all of these 5, but because you guys are on booktube, you probably see like the Hunger Games and Legend, you probably see that all the time, so I thought I would recommend some lesser known dystopians so that you guys can read a lot more than just like the standard ones that everyone recommends. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into the video. Again, these are in no particular order. The first one I have to show you is probably like one of the most popular here on booktube, and that would be the Delirium Trilogy by Lauren Oliver. And I know a lot of people, maybe not a lot, like I know this had very mixed reviews. I know there were from some people who did not like it, but I actually really enjoyed this series. So pretty much the premise is that in this society, love has been considered a disease. It's called like the delirium. It's like that's like the disease technical name, and so you pretty much like you can't fall in love, you know, like you can't even, not even fall in love, you just can't love anyone. And so like I think when you turn like 17 or something, you go through a procedure to remove like the part of your brain that can love. And so it's about this girl who it's like it's her year to get the procedure, and she ends up falling in love, and of course there's a resistance, but I actually really enjoyed this series. But it was so interesting to like see love as a disease and like see how they described all the different symptoms. And there's a love triangle, which I didn't love the love triangle, but besides that, I really did enjoy this series. I think it's a pretty easy read if you're new to dystopian, so I would definitely check this one out. Next, I've been talking about this book kind of on my channel a bit lately, and that is Slated by Terry. And this dystopian is about this world where if you're underage and you commit a crime, you get slated, so you get taken away, your memory is completely wiped, and then you're given to a foster family. So there's like a bunch of kids running around who know they have committed a crime. They don't know what crime, they don't remember anything about their past, like they know they've committed a crime, they just don't know what. And so we follow a girl who has been slated, and we come to find out she's not the normal slated case, and it's really cool. They have like these wristbands like monitor everything, and I just really enjoyed this. It's definitely like super, you're like, what is going on, because you don't know her past, you know, like you don't know what she did. And so it's really interesting to read the series and kind of like unpuzzle what she did and like the story behind her, because when you start this series, we know as much about her as she knows about herself. So it is a very good dystopian. I definitely enjoyed it. Next up, I have Breathe by Sarah Crossan, and I feel like I've also been talking about this a bit recently because I just got the second book, which I am reading currently. But yeah, this one is also very good, obviously, otherwise I wouldn't be recommending it. But pretty much this dystopian follows a society where like kind of pollution has gotten so bad that the air is unbreathable. So all these people live inside this dome where they can have enough oxygen in order to breathe. And so it's pretty much a corrupt government classic type of story, but it's really interesting because like inside the dome, I think I could have my numbers wrong, but I think it's like in the air today it's like 21% oxygen, and then in this dome they pump it up to 30%. So those bad guys. And then outside the dome it's 6%. And so there's of course the resistance living outside the dome, and it's just we follow 3 characters, I believe, and just kind of piece together the puzzle of exactly what happened, and they really have to live inside this dome, like is the outside world really as bad as it seems. And it's really interesting there because in the dome you have to pay for air, and so there's a huge class difference. And it's crazy, like one of the characters we follow, she's an auxiliary, which is like the poorest level, and she's not allowed to run, she's not allowed to like make out because she takes too much oxygen when she does that. And it's just so interesting to read about. Alright, and the next series I'm recommending is the Garn Trilogy by Lauren Stefano. This one I think is really interesting. So pretty much the society, just how it has gotten is males only live to age 25 and women only live to age 20, and so there's kind of like a sex trafficking black market. I mean, it is sex trafficking black market for women to force them to be wealthy men's wives in order to keep the population up because people are dying so young. But I really enjoyed this book. I definitely left off on a cliffhanger. I've only read the first book in this series, but I definitely plan on continuing. And finally, we have Matched by Ali Condi, and I know this is another one that has gotten pretty mixed reviews, and I will say it took me 2 tries, but I really ended up enjoying this book when I read it the second time. I kind of compare it to The Giver, wherein there's a government that pretty much decides everything for you, and so we follow a girl who is about to be matched to her future husband, but there is a glitch in the system and she gets matched to one boy and then it happens to be another, and so it just makes her wonder, and then she's like, well, who am I supposed to be with? I thought like the system was perfect and there was no flaws. Now she's like, is it flawed? And again, there's a resistance, as always in dystopians. It definitely takes you on a whirlwind, and I definitely would recommend it. But alright, I think that is gonna be it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Comment down below any of your favorite dystopians. I would love to know. I'll see you on my next video. Bye!